Hello and welcome back to another fabulous day with me, Kieron Seamons, and we are going to be doing some funky drawings today. I'm kind of in this thing of where I'm working on some new projects, and today is going to be a bit of a test drawing, and they're always fun because there's no limits. Anything can happen. So if you want me to see another new drawing, let's go this way. Come on, let's go and do some drawing. Okay, so we are going to get into a bit of a drawing here. We're going to start off with something. Let me just check that camera is moving. It is indeed. We're going to get off with a nice kind of start here. And I've got a little bit of an idea about today's drawing, which is very unusual. And that is simply because I've got some kind of rather crazy idea for the next chapter of one of my books, and it has been a book that's I've done about 3 versions of it now, and this is like a twist on the version, if you see what I mean. I'm not going to say too much now because it could be a project that is hugely important, and it might be a project that just doesn't seem to happen. So, but at the moment, I'm very, very, very excited about it. And this, as always with my projects, they kind of become a testing to see if it's going to work, if it's going to be something that is something that I would like to spend a lot of time working on. And that sometimes is where you have to kind of be a little bit realistic with yourself, and you have to kind of say, is this a project that's worth investing hours and hours and weeks and months and everything else into? And in most cases, yes. Most cases it is indeed. Now, this is a kind of like a creature, is the best way I can explain it. Now, this is a book that I've kind of been on and off working on for a while. And sometimes I fill my sketchbooks and notebooks with ideas. That's sometimes 90% of my life is about sitting and dreaming up crazy ideas. It's something that I have been doing most of my life. About, I kind of wake up in the morning and I have an ingenious idea to come up with the greatest story ever done. And I sit there and I spend hours and hours and hours on it. And then a couple of hours later, I'll look at it and go, what were you thinking? You're a lunatic. It's rubbish. And vice versa. There's sometimes I have drawn out stories that I think are not that good, but then come back to it later and think, why didn't I do something more with it? What stopped me, And I guess that's the case with most people's. That's why I'll keep going back to the value of a sketchbook, a notebook, a scribbly brain pad. Something where you write down notes, where you kind of talk with yourself, where you scribble ideas, where it's not like a gallery of artwork. It's a process of thinking, a process of thoughts. And at the moment, I have this kind of... I was writing this thing, which I'm not going to show you, but I'll show you the kind of... the sketch of him. The sketch of him was something like that. Oh, God, the papers are all falling out. And that was something that I had been kind of sketching and working on. This idea, and I started to, while I was having a piece of toast, I started to scribble down this idea. And the idea actually got to a part where I really rather enjoyed what I saw. And again, my sketches are sketches. They are scribbles. They are nothing. They are a mere collection of thoughts and nothing more than that. And that is why I love them, because it leaves it in such a state that it could be something more. And it leaves that sketch in a process of kind of like, this could be, this might not be, this, you know, that important stage of excitement. Because you don't get into too much detail that leaves it nothing to grow. It's almost like planting little seeds in your sketchbook. Little seeds of excitement, little seeds of imagination. And although I'm not kind of drawing it exactly, which I hope I would never do anyway, it is a stage of coming from a seed of an idea. And I use that very kind of loosely, but it is something where you go back to an idea and you start to look at it and you start to think, my God, that's given me an idea for something else. And that's what I mean about a seed. It might be a drawing that you've done that you never come back to, but it might be something that one day you open it and you think, oh, that was a lovely idea. Why didn't I do more with it? And then you instantly have an idea for another story connected to it. And that's this kind of, you know, branches growing from a seed of an idea. And it's just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I love how that kind of evolution of an idea happens. And it's always been my kind of love. It's always been my passion to scribble ideas and to see them evolve. See them evolve in a way that you could probably never have predicted. And you know, it's amazing because when you're sitting there and you've got your first thought, that first like little thing that's bouncing around in your brain, what happens and what generally happens is it's all very powerful. It's all kind of very much in your mind, and you're kind of like, you're writing down what color he is and what color his trousers are and what color his eyes are, and it becomes something that's so vivid in your mind that you could almost reach and touch it, you know, a character in a situation that's there. It's the colors of it, it's the textures of it, it's the shapes of it, and you put it down in a little sketch, a little idea, and it's almost more important that it's like a memory jogger, if that kind of makes any sense to you. It jogs the memory for, well, next time you look at it and you go, oh yes, I remember. And it will fire you off into this beautiful world of imagination. And that's what this morning was. Eating my toast, Mr. Miro on my lap, snoring away as usual. I say as usual, but he's actually a very active dog. He really is. So I'm not going to talk too much about this drawing, but I think you'll get an idea of what it is and what it's probably connected to. And hopefully this will this will be the seed that spawns a whole forest of ideas, you know, something that will just explode in my mind, and all of a sudden these stories will pour out of me, and that's a very, 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 very positive response to it. I usually find an idea or a great idea for a book is never one idea. It's never like, oh, I'm going to write a book about blah, 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 blah. It isn't like that. It really is about something where you have an idea and you think, that's not bad. I kind of like that. I like where it's going. I like this theme. I like this, this, this. And then you start walking in the park and you start thinking, oh, it could be that. It could be this. Oh, and you sit down to have a piece of toast and you start to doodle another section of the story, another part of the story. When that starts to happen, that's when you start to feel those little glimmers of gold, those little diamonds of ideas starting to grow and start to kind of fester into this uncontrollable must be. This story has to be, you know, and that is where things start to really get exciting. When you can't seem to escape the ideas, and it becomes almost like an obsession. Then you're writing the next part of the story, or you're writing the next chapter, or you're writing ideas that could be a chapter. And that's when things really start to become beautiful. And I find sometimes that books happen kind of like too quickly before they've really kind of got their kind of their full potential. And I do like to let ideas kind of fester. And in the same way that I have multiple notebooks sitting around, multiple sketchbooks, and they work in a way of rotation of your brain. This book is a book. It's called P2. It was Poems 2, where I was writing poems for my book, and I was really enjoying it. But I also have Poem Book 1, Poem Book 3, Poem Book 4, Poem Book 5. So when I pick it up, it's never the same starting point from the time before. I won't pick it up and think, oh, yesterday I was writing that. I'll pick it up and think, oh, what was I writing 2 weeks ago? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, and it puts you in a different mindset. And I do love it. I do love the way that your mind can kind of just explode like a firework of ideas. And from taking an old idea that may have been something but might not have been, I didn't do anything with, suddenly it's setting your mind on fire, and you are racing forward with these imagination that's just uncontrollable. And that is so beautiful. I had this idea of this creature in a fur coat and in some underpants. And the story will evolve. The story will show itself at some point. And it might even become like a book cover. You know, this is how things kind of evolve. It might be something that and that's what I love about this job. This is what I love about my life. The fact that an idea can be so important. An idea can be so kind of like exciting. It can kind of get to a point where you are so excited about what is happening that it fuels your day. I don't like to think too much about what's happening in the world. Kind of gets a little bit too miserable, to be honest, if you're thinking about what country's fighting with what country, and they say it's because of this and because of that, and you know it's not because of this and because of that, but yeah, you know, it's usually to do with the M word, usually to do with money. And that's never a good start if you're fighting over kind of money and stuff like that. It's always a negative thing. So he is running around with odd socks. I love odd socks. I remember a friend of mine bought me a whole collection of odd socks, and each one was odd in the packet. You opened it and you've got a blue one and a stripy one or something like that. And that's kind of like how my sock drawer is anyway, to be very, very blunt and very honest. You know, I go around to people's houses and they say, oh, can you take your shoes off? And you say, yeah, no problem. And you take it off and they kind of look down and they say, you got one stripy sock and one sock that's got stars on it. And they look at you like, this guy's nuts. I used to go to Korean restaurants and things like that and walk in, and I remember my kind of wife at the time would kind of look at me like, oh no, not again. You know, and you could see all the waiters and waitresses kind of giggling and smirking, and they would go, he's got a pink sock and a green sock, you know. But that was just me. That was just, you know, I never thought anything too much of it. Never really bothered me. They were socks. They were doing a job. They were covering my feet. What more did you want? You know. Huh? So this creature who was called the Googie Snapper. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you the name, was I? Oh, well, there you go. The secret is out. And it hopefully will appear in one of the books coming up. And I also love the idea that even my books are in kind of like rotation. It's kind of like I'm working on this book for a while, and then I jump onto that book for a while, and they all get to the end. They get to be put out there for everybody. But, you know, I like to keep it interesting for me also, you know, not just the fact that I'm doing something but I like to keep it fresh and exciting. And every time I pick up that book, I think, oh, I can't wait to draw some more of that. And that's how it should be. You should be excited to work on whatever you're working on. That's a must. You must have that passion in your day for every single thing that you are drawing. And we did a whole video yesterday about practice. So if you haven't seen that one, do go and see it, because it's a great video in a way that it kind of builds practice, fun into practice. And the idea is kind of like a little bit like when my daughter used to go and play piano, and she would get there and the teacher would say, okay, play the, you know, and she'd go, and she'd go, oh, why did you go, duh? Why did you stop there? What was the problem? We'll have to do that finger to that, and then, they would talk through the difficulties. And the difficulty was basically that was a difficult piece. Don't play the whole tune, just play that piece and replay it and practice it over and over, that little piece. And then when you do the full song, it would click into place. And that's very much similar in the art kind of drawing thing as well. It's kind of like, you know, oh, lovely. And sometimes when you're practicing, you need to keep it fun. You know, they do a lot of that with kind of like guitar teaching and stuff like that. They do kind of say, don't just play scales, you know, do, 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 do. Play it in some kind of musical pattern, you know, do, 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 but within. And it's a great way of learning. And it's a great way of kind of like discovering patterns, discovering. Hey, it works nice, doesn't it? Is he all in there? Can you see all of him? Yes, you can. And I do find it like sometimes, you know, art and music and all things like that can be very, very tiresome. And the best way to not make it tiresome, repetitive, boring, those type of words, is to put some fun into it. Put some fun and some feeling into it, you know? I will leave the background at the moment until I'm quite sure about what the running process will be. If there will be a style in the background, then I can add them at a later stage. I'm really, really pleased with that. What a absolute delightful creature. And that's the feeling you should get from your drawing. You should be able to look at your own drawing and have a nice laugh. It should make you feel good, you know. And this will appear in a book that's in process. And I do thank every single one of you. Thank you for all the comments recently. Your comments have been amazing. I do enjoy sitting down with a nice comment to you have been absolutely delightful with your comments. And it's a very lovely part of the day because, you know, you're sitting here talking to a screen. So, you know, you have no idea what people are thinking and feeling. And sometimes it's quite delightful to be able to have someone kind of send you a comment and make you feel good. So there is today's drawing. And I do really like that one. I do feel very nice about that one. Can you see the whole thing? There you go. That's the full drawing. And it really has come across very, 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 very nicely from the sketch. And that was the sketch. If you can see the sketch, I don't know if you can see the sketch, but it's very, very light. It was just a very, very quick scribble on this one. And I thought, well, I must draw that one up. I must kind of get it in full capture, you know. And I'm very pleased with that. Very pleased. I love how his nose kind of waggles over the edge there. Give it some little waggly. So it's almost like it's kind of flapping as he's running along. Well, thank you very much for coming along today and watching today's drawing. It has made my day to know that you are there. And I do love sharing my drawings with you on this. And I would love to get your comments. I'd love to see what you think about today's drawing. It is going to be in a book coming up. It will be one of the illustrations that will get painted up and look gorgeous. When it's painted up, I'll let you see it also. Okay? Have a fantastic day. Keep drawing. And thank you for subscribing. See you soon. Bye-bye.